Hello, my name is Dominic Underhallhouse and welcome to another episode of Moonbreaker. So today, it's been a while since we've actually last done some PvP content, and that's because, if you're wondering, I've been struggling to find games at the time that I've usually been recording. As I'm sure a lot of you know, the player base has been sort of having a little bit of a dip waiting for the new content releases, the new patch updates and that sort of thing, and it's made it a little difficult to record, but now I'm going to be trying to record at a different time. It is currently 11:30 in the evening, so I'm going to be trying recording at a time that's better for other countries to be online. So, what I'm going to be doing in this video is the video we did a few days ago of the Back to the Grind, which is our Peacemaker Balam control list. However, I've made a slight change to it, and I think this has got a lot of potential from here as well. So, the list itself, they're running Maximus for the early game, Deadeye as well. So these are just two of the most solid early game units. We've got Beatris Enforcer, who's just a really good way of slowing down the game a little bit and sort of blocking off lines, creating routes where you need them. So block off opponents' routes so they have to go a different route towards where you line things up. The big difference here is we're actually running Blindsider Eztli now. So beforehand we were running Taurian Guardian, and while I love Taurian as a defensive unit and that sort of thing, I think I was talking with Jester, and one of the things that came up was finding a little bit of more of a way of being proactive, and I think Eztli really fits that nicely. And I did notice a few times I was struggling on turn 3, and I needed a little bit more to do. So Eztli is now going to be our standard 3 drop, because we don't really want to be playing Balam on turn 3, as then it just dedicates our Cinder from that point onwards. So we want to have sort of a bit of a coherent plan from there, and it also means we can have an aggressive start if we need to. We've also got Shrapnel as a follow-up as well, Ursix Nectarvine to give us that bit of longevity, and then Florio Lancer as a nice big finisher as well. So we're going to queue up into some PvP games and see what we can find, and hopefully have a bit of fun with it. If you enjoy the content, if you're enjoying the channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It really does help the channel grow and help things, keep going at this rate. It keeps giving me incentive to keep doing these videos. As much as I'm really enjoying it, it really does keep that momentum going. So make sure you hit that button, drop a comment in there, and we'll jump into some games in a moment. Okay, so hopefully the matchmaking won't be too long. If it's if we get a little bit of a longer one, then it's fine. I'll just cut back and come to it. But this list has actually been really successful for me so far. I've had a lot of fun playing it as well, which is the most important thing. It's something a bit different to the aggro lists. Sometimes you can just get run over, and that's absolutely fine. That happens sometimes. It's the sort of the nature of the game. But sometimes you can get into a situation where, with good positioning and good sort of, use of abilities, you can actually start controlling the game relatively early on. I found that when you are getting rushed down, deploying Nectarvine at the right time is really key, because not only does it often heal you up health on your captain, it doesn't sound like much for Cinder for 2 health, but if that keeps going every turn, it really mounts up. But also, if your opponent doesn't think that they can beat that and, take out your units as well, they have to go and deal 8 damage to the Nectarvine, which really does give you that tempo advantage. So hopefully we'll get a chance to see some of that in game. I'll jump back in when we find a match and get started from there. Okay, so we found our game. We're going to be jumping into this and seeing what kind of opponent we get as well. We've got an Astra. Ooh, a painted Astra as well. So we're going to see what, if you hadn't noticed already, we've actually got our part completed Christmas painting competition entry here as well. Okay, so these assists are quite difficult. Cinder Infusion and Blink is fine. I actually think Stasis and Nanoshield could be really nice in the right matchup here. We're against Drafimara. So, I don't know this player. I don't think I've come across them before. Let's have a look at their Astra. I love the hair. The hair looks great on Astra there. I will admit I'm currently confused by the purple face. It's almost given me a Charlie in the Chocolate Factory kind of feel. Violet, you're turning violet kind of thing. Interesting, I never realised this would be 100%. That's great, a minus 101% accuracy. So, we've not got any real good shots here. We've got a minus 70, 69, 67. So we've got minus 67 there, or minus 52 there. I think we probably just take the minus 67 on that. There's no reason to do anything else. That's 0%, we're too far away anyway. And we'll put Maximus. Interesting enough, I think we actually put Maximus over here, because they're going to want to jump in that direction, and this gives us more shots and we can apply more pressure quite quickly, and I think we should be wanting to apply pressure here. So we're going to have 4 Cinder next turn, so this gives us the option of either Deadeye and Beatris, or potentially we can go for Shrapnel as the most likely other option, depending on what they play. So if they play lots of small things, it might even be better to go for something else. Okay, so they look like they're going to go for Beatris and maybe Deadeye as well. That is a wonderful neon green Beatris. Okay, so not picking that up is potentially an issue, but again, we haven't got a good line of sight on it. They can just keep growing, so that's actually some really good positioning from our opponent. We don't even have a good line of sight onto their captain here. So I'm actually quite impressed by this. This is something that I'm going to have to start looking to do in the future. The question is this going to be out of Beatris's range? So this will be. So what we want to do is just move over onto this. We did get our hit, which is what we wanted. Now, we're just going to be outside of deployment range. But what we can do here, and it might even be worth doing. Actually, I think this is worth doing, because that's now 2 Cinder. We're actually going to gravity disc ourselves closer, because they got a bit greedy here. We're going to use our second wind. We're going to pop Beatris down over here, gain us 2 more Cinder, use our attack here just in case we miss that, and then we can pop Deadeye down over here as well. So I think they got a little greedy with the Cinder there. So the reason we were willing to gravity disc is it cost us 2, but it gained us 2 back from stealing this, and that really makes it difficult for our opponent. So sure, they can get Beatris onto us, but at this point I actually feel like we probably just start pressuring Astra. Yep, they can move there. That keeps them away from our Beatris. But then we've actually got quite a good follow-up. We've got Blindsider Eztli coming next turn. We can place it somewhere down here, so we can go for a different angle to where Astra can currently go. We might even be able to place it behind them. So either way, this is going to be a good start for us here. Okay, Savria. Okay, I'm trying to get used to calling her Savria instead of Savria. So I think that's probably the shot we take, but we could also just take the shot onto Astra and just push for damage. I don't even think I hate that. Now, has Max got a shot anywhere? Yes, we have. Good. So I'm going to start this and treat it as if it was an aggressive list. We're going to move slightly to the side with Beatris here, because we want to give Deadeye a good line of sight as well. And from here, Deadeye has multiple good lines of sight, which is useful. And then we do want to play Eztli out somewhere, but the question is where? It might even be here, because this is going to be very difficult for them to play something all the way out on top of Eztli, and we can do just some big follow-ups next turn. So, again, here, this is not normally a safe place for Eztli, but without them using... Okay, they've got Stasis. Without them using some sort of either Cinder ability to haste something out here. Okay, so they're just going for full damage, maybe? The 2 4 damage crits in a row is brutal for us. But I think with Nano Shield and stun as well, I think we're in a really good spot here. We're going to just have to kill whatever this is. Okay, Shrapnel. Can we kill Shrapnel? Or can we get enough damage in play to deal with whatever they're offering here? So here we're just going to keep going on to the captain. We can get... So Beatris is going to move over to here. It didn't quite give me the line that I wanted. So we'll go for this. So we can get into range here. But the question is, can we do anything much without... we need to worry about. So this, I actually think at the moment we're not worried here. We can only take 4 damage. We've got 10 life. So I think more than anything, we do want to stun Astra, gain our additional Cinder, and honestly I think we just deploy a Florio over here, and maybe even just move aggressively in this direction. We can use our... let's Ozos on Deadeye, just to get a bit of extra damage out here. Getting that crit matters. I think this is a good turn. Okay, this feels right. I feel safe over here, just because of everything going on there. So we can get Blindsider Eztli in here. The question is, what can we follow up with? We've got Astra stunned. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... potentially 6, 7, and 9 damage onto her so far. 10 if we can get a Zax attack. So, yeah, we were just relying on this not being enough to lethal us, which I think is a pretty safe a bet anyway. Some crits here would do us well. So this having moved slightly away actually means I think my best bet here is to move Eztli away. Yeah, so move Eztli away and attack through with Beatris. And I think that actually does more damage. If I were them, I'd be curious as to what you could do over here to try and create some safety. Because if they can find a way of getting Astra away from all the things that she needs to be scared of, that would be pretty useful for them. So they got Deadeye and... Sorry, okay, yeah, so they are going to go for this approach. But again, I think we're in a pretty good spot here, especially with Florio to follow up. Yeah, deploy something else to block us off. We can actually kill a lot of this quite easily with Florio as well. I think there's no reason to not do this. So this might even just be an attack to kill this. Yeah, so we go through here. Beatris just can move out the way, I think, to be honest. We want to be chipping some damage in on the captain. So we basically need to get Astra down to 3. So if we just go point blank range here. Perfect. Zax can try and get a line of sight somewhere. No, not quite. We might as well take this on Taria in that case. We've got it, even better. We can maybe sleep a mine here. And then hit our nano shield. Keep Florio moving down. In fact, Florio probably actually moves back here. Because we don't want to be at risk for a Toxoid coming through. There we go, perfect. So that worked really well. We didn't even get to the Balam stage. We actually just, used our sort of a value, our tempo, and, Beatris wasn't that useful. I think maybe in that situation we could have had got a bit better use out of her. She was kind of just a gambit play almost, just to steal that Cinder early on. I think that was a really big swing in the game. So, again, Eztli performed fairly well. It wasn't anything special in this game. It was very much just here's a utility crew. It didn't do anything, spectacular, but most of the time it didn't even need more than 2 attack. That crit was nice. It did help us clear out Shrapnel, but it wasn't game-changing, but I think quite efficient. So we're going to jump into another game. We've got one already, so maybe it's the same opponent. And we'll see if we can do a similar sort of thing in another round. So the question is, do we see that pretty Astra hair again? No, it's a different Astra. Okay. So we've got a few people playing now. This recording time's working out well, which is nice. So here we've got Stimburst and Lifeline is probably my pick here. These are just 2 impactful board assists, and that's more my style. I don't like the ones where it's you just fully... like medical recall and it doesn't really do much, whereas these are sort of specifically stat based. We can get extra movement, we can get extra health. It'd be quite useful. I'm just going to quickly adjust my camera here. Hopefully you can see more of me. I felt like I wasn't fully in the screen. I am aware that I'm in a different position today. It's not necessarily something that I intended to be the case, but I forgot to switch scenes, and I'm not going to change that halfway through a video. So I'm going to leave it for this video for now, and I'll be back up to the top right before we know it. Okay, is this going to be Astra placing her Cinder Sphere somewhere, or a Maximus? Oh, Tlali, okay. So this is a level 23 opponent. I'll be honest, I'm surprised at seeing them place a turn 1 Tlali somewhere fairly dangerous. I'm going to go for the early damage. We did get it, and we can pop our Maximus down. So one of the things I've learned, and I think is quite a good lesson for a lot of people, is to keep Maximus slightly away from the sticking out things, because otherwise if they just move aggressively, deploy behind you, you're trapped against the wall. And we really don't want that to be the case. So I imagine they're going to keep running. What we want is to be able to get line of sight onto Tlali, and with Stimburst next turn, I think we're in a pretty reasonable spot to do so. Not so much now they've gone to hide, but maybe we can get something onto Astra instead, or whatever they play here. Okay, so that's Deadeye, so I think there's a good chance we actually just start pressuring Deadeye here. It might be that Zax can't quite get in range, which I think is almost likely actually, but we'll see what we can do. I will say it's interesting seeing that Astra hasn't actually placed a Cinder Orb yet, so at the moment, yeah, didn't think so. We can't quite get onto Zack's there, so onto Deadeye there. So with Zack, so we'll just go for whatever the lowest percentage we can get here. I don't want to go too far this way, so we're going to stick with like the 30-ish. In fact, I almost want to be around here, so let's go 33 here and just take this shot. We did miss, but that's fine. Here we should be able to get Deadeye. And Deadeye can only move to these angles. I still think we might even just be fairly safe over here. And then what we can do is so we've got some things to place down. I honestly think that this time it's still going to be Beatris and our own Deadeye. But what I want to do is make it so that they don't have an easy line with which to move out. So I think with these two, they've only really got this direction to move, and that puts them into our line of sight and it keeps our Maximus safe. So barring assists, we've got a very safe turn here. Yeah, this is where we want them to have to move. They've got no line of sight onto our Maximus. They can only hit our captain, and they're positioned right in the middle of our units. So this couldn't really be a better position for us in terms of their Deadeye, and it's just a case of what they can defend with this turn back here. So, as I was going to say, at some point they're going to have to start moving Tilali forwards to do anything. I'm expecting to see either Antios or Eztli here. Eztli wouldn't surprise me. It seems quite likely, but I'd expect them to play it somewhere more safe. It's Taria. Okay, so we're going for all the double attacks here. So I think our plan here is just going to be to move Beatris slowly towards them over and over again. Oh, I'm not sure if that's a spend of Cinder either. I mean, you're pretty much guaranteed from that point anyway. And here you're just going to be giving these away. Is this Ion Storm? Ion Storm will be good here. It is. Okay, there we go. That's a pretty good use. Ooh, we took a damage. Nice. So we've got pretty much as good a chance as we're going to get here. So we might as well take this fairly quickly. Okay, we got that. So we're actually just going to Ozos Deadeye. Or are we? You know what? Let's bring Max out and see if we can get a good Max hit. We want to be slightly safe here. Let's try this. See if we can get these done. Okay, we did miss, unfortunately. I actually think maths-wise we should be able to do, or math-wise, depending on what country you're from, we should be able to do alright here. I'm kind of just going to go for multiple attacks, I think. And just go for the big... Basically the play as many shots as possible tactic. Okay, we missed everything. That's pretty unfortunate. But we have got a good follow-up. It's going to be Eztli. Eztli is going to be keeping fairly safe. Because they've got a lot of damage there, so this should be out of range of everything. I mean, Maximus can move back again, I guess. It is pretty unfortunate to have hit, or to have missed all of those. We can just block Deadeye in. Let's just do that. Again, leave Deadeye with very few options. If they go for our crew and they can't kill it, we can just heal it next turn anyway. Next turn we've got Stimburst, so we can be in a pretty good spot there. Again, I feel fairly comfortable. Neither of us have lost any crew. If they're spending 2 Cinder to rapid fire Taria, I feel in a good spot. Because they're not going to be able to kill anything here. Next turn we might even be able to kill 2 crew. Yeah, go for that extra buff. Sure. So they're going to push our captain, which means that next turn we're going to just start playing a little bit more cautious. We can potentially kill anything we want here, really. We can kill 2 units in theory. They might as well place a Cinder Sphere here. And we can start playing a little bit more defensive. A little bit more sort of up the board, because I think we can kill 2 units, possibly 3 next turn. Because we've got... What's going over here? Okay, so we've still got Eztli in range of that. We've got a reasonable range from Maximus. Have we got 3 damage onto here? So we're missing 1 damage, but Let's just go with a Stim Burst, because I think we want to get as much movement up the board as possible, and then we can play Shrapnel right in their face. So what we can also even do is just... In fact... I think what we're going to do is going to place this here early. We're going to go for one of these shots first. Make sure we hit at least one. There we go. That's fine. So if we actually move here, push this together, we can gravity disc to pull these two in together as well. There we go. So we can move Deadeye up here to get a hit. Beatris up here to hit one of these. We get Shrapnel over here. And use Eztli to take this out. We didn't quite kill Tari here because I did actually mess up and went for the shot with Deadeye, forgetting that I needed it over here. But we nearly cleared the whole board. We've got loads of units, loads of health. Florio. Okay. So they're going to just go for Florio, so all we need to do is just spread out this turn. So if we bring Shrapnel over here to start getting some attacks in on both, in theory. Is this going to be a Cinderall? If it is, we're just going to shoot that. Or deploy onto it. I think we've got a pretty good shot here. So we can just turn on their captain pretty much, because I don't think they can outdamage us in any reasonable fashion. But we might as well just work things through. So Beatris is going to be who we want to go here, because Beatris doesn't do anything at the moment, basically. So we don't want them to have additional Cinder, so we can deploy straight onto it with even just our own Florio, maybe. So let's just go with a few things like this. So I'm going to deploy our own Florio over here, steal their Cinder. I'll bring Shrapnel over to just start poking. We can Ozos ourselves here. We can bring this over here. We can just take a couple of pot shots of Maximus. This is not enough damage for them to deal with us next turn. We've got Lifeline if we need to. We only need to get a couple of damage onto them. I think we're in a good spot. We should be fairly safe, especially if they don't kill Florio here. Because Florio is a guaranteed 3 damage onto their Astra. Which means that, you know, essentially, if they want to use Florio as well, they're going to be using a lot of their Cinder. So we've got guaranteed 3 damage onto Astra. And then with Deadeye, we've almost got a guaranteed another 2. And we only need to get 1 more from anywhere, and they're not going to be able to Ion Storm everything. Combined with Stim Burst and potentially Lifeline, we should be in a really good spot. We can just move Zax, Gravity Disc him away if we need to, Stim Burst. I'm not feeling threatened in the slightest. Whatever they don't Ion Storm here is going to be what we kill them with, basically. Yeah, so they can get 3 of our units, but not anymore. This is one of the reasons between this and Florio is why we're spreading out, to try and make sure we're as safe as possible. So what I found is that in this version of the list we don't need Peacemaker Balam, but Peacemaker Balam is going to be something we can use later on to just completely lock out these games. You leave us in a really difficult situation. I think I've been throwing Beatris out there just for the sake of it. She has been useful, but it's not been, you know, incredible or anything like that. So we're just going to keep moving away. We're not worried about these things at all. There we go, so we can just get this attack in here, 100% touch hit. Can Ozos onto Maximus. I think here, we know we're going to be in range over there, so we can just bring this in. Get a couple of 93% shots, there we go, and we can just bombard every one of our friends for the win. Perfect. This list is working out really well for me. It's because I think it's got a good aggressive start to it. Like, the Beatris I think is a key part of it, but I think finding the right home for her is in positionally on the map is the more difficult part. but it's absolutely working well so far. So we're going to try and find one last game, put this video together, and hopefully you have a really good updated version of the list. I think it is working better. It's giving us that extra pressure so that we can just follow up with Balam and lock up games if we need to. For instance, in that Florio game, if we'd have played Balam a turn earlier, we could then have just moved in and locked up Florio for the rest of the game, and with an Astra it's going to take 5 turns alone just to try and kill Balam, and all we can do then is just place a Nectarvine out, and we've got an unkillable stun machine versus their list. So, wow, I found another game quite quickly, so we're queuing up really rapidly at the moment. This is brilliant, really glad to be recording at this time. And we're back to our previous opponent again. I think if I remember that Astra hair. Okay, we've got some more painting to do at some point as well. But... okay, so Disruptor Nano Shield seems great, especially if we can try and tempo them out. Yeah, there's Astra with her funny coloured face, but very nice hair. Drafimara again. So, Draffy did have really good positioning on Cinder Orbs, so I feel like they've practiced this quite a lot. So we're going to try and just basically move forwards into these things. We did get to steal one last turn, but that was more of a, you know, it wasn't something that was particularly challenged. Like, it wasn't that their placement was bad. It was more just greed. Yeah, they decided not to go for it here. They should absolutely take this. So the reason we placed Maximus so far up is that... ooh, interesting. Who are they into the reaching? Is it Deadeye? Because if this is like a Deadeye or something, that's... yeah, Deadeye shooting Maximus is fine. Yeah, and getting to haste as well. Very nice. So we are going to push Deadeye out of cover, and we're going to use the typical Maximus hideaway strat. This time we're actually not going to move forward because we've got enough range as it stands. Okay, we did get one hit at least, which is nice. We needed that. And keep pushing forward. There we go. Now again, 4 Cinder, but this time I want to try something different. I think I just want to deploy Shrapnel right up in their face and see how well this goes. So this might not be the optimal play, but I found that Beatris was a little bit lacking recently, and I really want to see just how Shrapnel was going to do in this situation. Okay, they got Lifeline, that's fine. They can deal 1 damage to Shrapnel, I guess, or 2 damage to Zax. This must be a Beatris. Yeah, so there's the Beatris again, the bright green Beatris. Feels very Necron to me. Okay, increased accuracy, so they... ooh, that crit is big. That makes a huge difference. Taking 3 damage there, so that's a max damage crit they just gave us. That's a very big deal. So, in theory we should still only take 2 damage next turn, so we just want to minimise this as much as possible. There we go. So we're still only going to really... we missed that and hit that. That's a surprise to me. We may as well bring Zax forward and just try and chip away over here. 50-50. Okay, we did get that as well. Excellent. Now, because they don't have 6 damage easily available, we could even just place a Blindsider Eztli round somewhere. And I think somewhere like here might be great, especially with Disruptor next turn. And this allows us to keep applying pressure. And we just want to stay... I think almost stay there with Maximus. Pushing him out at this point is a bit of a risk. Interesting enough with Shrapnel, if they're playing to kill Shrapnel this turn and you put some more units onto it, we can just give it indestructible and still just churn out the damage for another couple of turns, which I think is really useful here. So we've got, again, another pretty solid spot, but figuring out how to deal with some of this is going to be interesting. What we want to do is basically find a way to use Eztli to kill Deadeye almost no matter what. So given they can move over here. Okay, so Vital... okay, so these two together are actually going to kill Shrapnel. Which is pretty... oh, she might get to... yeah, she'll get to move again if she does this. Okay, so that was a risk there. This should still be 100%. Yeah. I think they were just trying to get extra value out. But if we spend all of our Cinder here, and we've still got the Beatris and Deadeye turn, I actually think if we place Beatris in here, that's pretty brutal. It was a mistake actually because we should have shot first. Let's see, what can we do? Can we bring Bytol out to play? I think we might be able to, so let's go try it out. And then we just want to play our Deadeye out over, probably over here in a moment. So let's just move Maximus first. Excuse me, Max. See if we can get one of these. Getting one of those is really nice. Means that Deadeye can actually be a little safer. So we can actually potentially move... Okay, so well, this needs to come over here and kill Bytol immediately. I think we just go for this attack. Indestructible here. Gain 2 Cinder for next turn. I think this is it. So now we've got an indestructible Eztli in their back line as well, which is really nice. So basically it looks as though we're quite almost vulnerable here, but we're actually... You know, they've got no high damage units as it stands. Okay, we've gotten into the breach. It's going to be a rickety to the face, maybe? Oh, Drum Dancer. Okay. I'm not sure I was expecting that. Oh, are they just going to try and buff up Beatris? Something's gone wrong here, because there was no need to into the breach this. They could have just placed this here. So I guess we have to sort of figure out what's going on. I suppose the main thing is how do we kill Deadeye. So they're going to shoot our captain here. Yeah, that's fine. And I think with our Deadeye and Maximus we can probably take out Charlie next turn as well. I don't think they place a Cinder Orb. Okay, so... Yeah, I don't think we need to rush anything. I think we just try and guarantee our attacks here. We just need one of these to hit. Oh, we've got a crit, even better. We'll pop Deadeye down, Ozo's Deadeye. Get this hit, we can move Zax over to finish it. Okay, we've got Beatris coming in here. She can't reach there, so we just go for here. Get a nice crit as well. Finish off Deadeye. We will play a Florio Lancer, because they've not got any real threats here. So we can either play more threats or stuns. Honestly here, I just think the threat is probably better. I'll just play it nice and safe up here. We could even just place a Sleeper Mine just about here to stop Beatris potentially getting onto us as well. Yep, this all seems good to me. We didn't need to do anything else, so this all works out well. So this is another version where we've just controlled the board. We've left ourselves in a really good state. We've still got our little Christmas puddings. I actually love these mines. I think they look fantastic. I'm really, really proud of them. So yeah, we're basically trying to control the board to the point that they can't keep enough units on the battlefield to stay safe from us. We don't really care about Beatris. We're going to run away from her for now. So they've obviously got things like the Iron Storm and the Lifeline here, but we're looking to kill anything that they deploy. And the next turn is probably going to be our Balam turn, because we know that we've got enough things to worry about. That I was not expecting. That's very interesting. So I'm almost tempted to just try and knock that away and just put it somewhere where we literally do not care about it. Because we've got enough Cinder next turn. We could just take a turn off of Florio and move him away and just basically use Zax's attack to push, Gravity Disc to push, and then Disruptor into a corner, and then never have to think about it again because we know that their assists don't matter. So I think that's what we do. So yeah, because that was their entire turn. So let's Gravity Disc it first. Just get that extra length out here. Get the shot off, get to a little bit more distance. We don't care about the crit in the slightest. What we do care about is just pushing it around the corner. There we go, we never have to see that again. I think that's called it a day there. So we actually had so much pressure on that board from there on out. We could ignore Beatris. We had that was just dead in the corner, and we had the ability to just turn on the captain as and when we wanted. That turn, I think I probably should have played out Peacemaker Balam instead of activating Florio. I was probably going to activate Florio, but I think that was the wrong choice. Playing Balam out would then allow us to control more of the board in the future, and I think at that point it really does secure the win. So all in all, a really successful video. I've had 3 great games with this. Blindsider Eztli seems to be a great addition. It just gives us that extra kill pressure to get the game to a point where Balam just becomes an unbeatable object, and it really, really did go well. So I want to thank all of my opponents. Thank you guys for watching. Please do hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. I'm still really enjoying making it. I'm glad I found a time slot where I can, you know, speak to people still, or speak to people, get some opponents, and hopefully I'll be able to record some more content as well, so we can keep it going for you guys as well. So sorry for the little lull in PvP content, but we're going to be bringing it back as soon as we can do, and most importantly, have a good day.